Audio and video is up? Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm pretty much ready to go whenever then, so welcome to Deus Ex Human Revolution. I'm going to be doing an any percent run. Before you obviously saw the rest of the Deus Ex game, so this is the final to the block. I just want to quickly mention again the Twitch team we have, 0451. If you want to find any other Deus Ex runners, then you can just go to that link and they're all there, a lot of cool people in there. But anyway, I'm just going to load the save and then I'm going to pause it and then we'll start on resume, because we actually start this game from a save file. There's an intro cutscene that's about 6 minutes long, and no one really wants to watch an intro cutscene that's 6 minutes long, so... Okay, so this is the save, and then I'll count you down, and I'm going to resume, and then we go. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. And Steam overlay opened. Awesome. What a start. Okay, so... And another thing I want to quickly mention as well is that I'm actually having issues with my game at the moment. So you'll notice when I went into the keypad there was actually a bit of lag. I'm having that every time I go into keypads, go down the slides for gun and get a save, an autosave or a quick save. It's not too much of an issue, it's just a little bit annoying. But anyway, the first thing you're going to notice is I'm going to be jumping basically everywhere. It's not actually faster to jump in this game, inherently, it's just the fact that you have stamina, and while you're jumping your stamina can regenerate. Also, just there you saw the first clip of the game. You saw similar things in The Fall anyway, but we use objects to push us through walls just by throwing them at ourselves. We also play on easy, up until a certain point in the game. There is actually a difficulty change strat, obviously I'll explain that when I get there, so there's very little chance of me dying except for one area of the game, and even then, it's pretty slim, but it can happen. Okay, there's a second clip here that is incredibly inconsistent, but I'll go for it and see if I get it. If I don't get it, it's only about 10 seconds slower. The orientation of the fire extinguisher actually does matter for it as well. Pretty much the only person who gets this clip consistently is Heinke, because he's some kind of wizard, I don't know. Oh, another important thing that I haven't mentioned yet. I'm capping my frame rate to 80. Frame rate in this game affects a lot of things, and if you have your frame rate uncapped, a lot of annoying things can happen, so yeah, we just set it to 80. It's not actually important, I guess. Like, if you want to run it higher, you can. You're not going to be slower just because of that. It's just, one specific trick much later on is notably more inconsistent if you're at higher FPS. And just a lot of the clips throughout the run are just a little more awkward, so 80 is nicer. Just grabbing some energy there, opening some doors, because I'm waiting for Sarah to stop talking anyway. And now we have an unskippable dialogue. I can't actually do anything to make this go faster. It's about a minute long, but it's pretty much the only one. Otherwise we kind of just spam through conversations.
Si c'est bien ce que je crois. Sans doute. Mais ça risque de piquer un peu. Apparemment, vos processeurs graphiques droit et gauche étaient mal synchronisés.
Oh yeah, I'm playing in French as well. That was the same for The Fall, so if you've stayed here from The Fall, then obviously you'll know why, but yeah, we're playing in French because it's actually faster. The dialogues are quicker, basically.
Les données biomédicales aussi en cas de douleur.
Bon, vous avez fini? Parce que ça arrive maintenant à l'hélistation.
Je sais. Des intégristes se sont introduits dans notre usine et ils ont pris des otages. Peut-être que cette fois vous sauverez quelqu'un.
C'est votre jour de chance. Je vais faire comme si je n'avais rien entendu.
Alright, and that's that. So, there's pretty much just one line of dialogue later on that we can't skip, otherwise, like I said, we just mash our way through everything. And now you can actually see my stamina, so you can see why I'm doing the sprint jumping. As soon as my stamina's about to run out, I'm jumping, and it can regenerate in that time. It's pretty nice. We can keep sprint speed the entire time. Oh, frame rate as well affects loading times. The higher your frame rate, the faster your loads are. I don't really know why that is. This is another line I can't skip, by the way. But yeah, because I'm at 80, my loads are actually a little slower than they would be if I was uncapped. But we time the game without loads anyway, so normally it doesn't matter. And now I'm picking lethal and short range to get me a revolver. You can do this run with pretty much any of the weapons if you want, but revolver is just overall the best. Alright, I'm doing a small clip here that only actually saves about 4 seconds, so I've already not saved time with it. But it's just kind of interesting to see how you do it. You kind of clip into the wall and then edge your way around. Drop down and grab the ladder to avoid fall damage. And now there would normally be about 5 enemies out here. But because of the clip I did, I actually skipped the trigger to spawn them, so I can just run through. I'm going to grab this concussion grenade for use much later in the run, and yeah, we're just going to run past a lot of people here. We're on easy, so it's very unlikely that we're going to die. At least to those guys. If I mess up later on, I can obviously die.
Jensen, je viens d'essayer de déverrouiller la porte des labos de montage. Mes codes administrateurs ne fonctionnent pas.
Alright, and this is a decontamination room. When you're in these rooms, you're actually locked in them for about 5 seconds. If you can get a clip like this, well, I didn't get it, but if you can get a clip like this, you can skip waiting for the door to open. There's another one coming up just after that anyway, so I can try it again. But it just skips having to wait for the door. And now it's important that I run under the camera here, because if it sees me, the enemies in the next room are going to be hostile, and then they will pretty much for sure kill me. So another decontamination room, so let's try again. We got it this time. And now what I'm doing is I'm sprinting behind those guys and making a lot of noise, and that causes them to turn around. And while they're turning, they're actually completely oblivious to anything. So yeah, they turn around and then I can just sprint past them without worrying at all. Grab a Praxis kit. And face tank the turret because it doesn't do enough damage to kill us before we get to the end. Alright, we're getting close to the point where we have to start praying for info link skip, which is basically completely random. Well, not completely random. It wouldn't work if we didn't do a certain thing, but even then it often just decides to not work. Also, I want my revolver out here, I just realized. Running upstairs is pretty much the hardest thing in the speedrun. To keep your speed running upstairs. It's really annoying. Alright, this guy can actually kill me if he's feeling it. He was not. We're fine. If he's feeling really aggressive, that guy can actually kill you. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip this cutscene, and as I skip it, I'm going to quick save and quick load without you being able to see anything, and it's going to load me into the next room without having to do the conversation. So I can kill Zeke and instantly just walk on without having to talk to him. And now we hope, and we didn't get it. There's a small chance that when we do that, we skip this line here, that Adam is having 2 Seraph, and it just basically saves a little bit of time. But here, gave me time to have a drink, so I am fine with it. Oh, sorry, if you just arrived after I mentioned why the voice is in French, they're in French simply because it's faster. The dialogues are just shorter or quicker, either way. So between a lot of the missions, we're going to be coming back to Seraph Industries. Unfortunately, in Seraph Industries, there isn't much you can do to speed things up because you can't actually interact with anything really. You can't pick objects up, and you can't unholster your weapon, so we just kind of have to run around and do what we need to do. Yeah, my FOV is at the max setting in game. I don't remember what it is, but it's at the max. Timing the languages was actually, well, you can probably imagine, was an incredible ball ache. There are 7 languages, I think, in this game, and I had to go through and play the game in each language, timing all of the important info links to see which one ended up being faster. I have a spreadsheet for it. It was not very interesting and not very fun, but we found out that French is about 13 seconds faster than English, It used to be 17, but then we found a new strat that cut that down, so yeah, it's about 13 seconds faster than playing in English. I'm gonna go for old lady skip. I will not get it, but I might as well try.
Madame.
No, I didn't get it. No one has gotten that for absolute months. It kind of just disappeared.
J'y vais.
We think, or at least one of our community has tested what might affect that, and we think it might be something to do with the fact that we're running a live split and DX3, because when he was trying it without live split and DX3 open, he could actually do it. But what can happen there is when you unholster your weapon, you skip having to do that conversation. She just says, no, please don't shoot, and you can move on. The slowest language is either German or Russian, I don't remember. Alright, and now I'm going to buy 2 stims, 2 energies, and a praxis kit. What that means is I can upgrade my legs so that I sprint faster and jump higher. And the stims are going to be pretty important pretty soon.
Madame, vous avez fini à la clinique?
You can see now that I'm jumping a lot higher than I was
Pour le
before.
moment, je veux connaître l'identité de ce cadavre. Allez au commissariat et récupérez son relais neural. Et Adam, si vous n'arrivez pas à les convaincre, ne forcez pas le passage. Il y a certainement une autre entrée quelque part.
German is slowest. Yeah, okay. I'll trust Yelmer. He also did some timing for all missions. And for the missing link. Alright. So I hope there aren't any police officers in chat because we are about to shoot that guy in the face. When we leave this area, everyone's going to be hostile, and that guy has a shotgun, so if we don't kill him now, he's going to completely destroy us when we leave. We're going to grab this bin, clip inside of it, crouch and walk backwards, and now we're on top of the vent here. It's important for me to not fall into the room below me. Well, semi-important, because then you get kind of trapped in. Instead I can just jump out and then use the code to get back in. Grab what I need, and now I need to leave. And this is another place where I can potentially die. Just gonna kill that guy for safety. It looks like I'm completely fine for health. I have 110 and I'm about to get outside. But these guys are all going to be shooting me as well. Fortunately, none of them do pretty much any damage at all.
Jenny, qu'est-ce qu'il voulait?
Elle a dit qu'elle aurait besoin d'un coup de main si vous pouviez aller jusqu'à Grand River Road. J'ajoute que même si je suis ravi de vous revoir parmi nous, je n'ai pas l'intention de devenir votre secrétaire personnel.
Now we're just going to Jensen's apartment building 420. Make of that what you will. And now I can explain why we picked the revolver. The revolver on this difficulty pretty much kills everyone in one other than the police officer I shot, which is why I dared show him because he's wearing body armor. But we used to use the stun gun because that will hit anyone in one, and we used to play on hard. But every time you use the stun gun you need to reload it, whereas the revolver has 5 shots per round. So I can shoot it 5 times before I have to... Well, I don't know why I needed to explain that, that's pretty simple. But it means I can reload just when I'm in elevators or during a conversation or something like that. At some point where reloading doesn't matter, because you can't sprint while reloading.
En plein territoire des gangs?
Notre ami se faisait passer pour un militant anti-augmentation. Et quelle meilleure cachette qu'au milieu des flambeurs de Derelictro.
D'accord, j'y vais tout de suite.
And now we're heading to D-Row. This is actually one of the missions that's the least broken because we haven't found a way to really sequence break yet. Pretty much every other mission in the game we sequence break pretty heavily, but this one, it just doesn't seem to let you end unless you do everything that you're required to do. Like, you can go to the end and you just won't be able to leave until you've been to your apartment and things like that. So I'm going to take advantage here of the AI manipulation I mentioned earlier. I make some noise and get them to turn around. And while they're turning around, I can just jump over the top of them and they are oblivious. Pretty much same with all these guys through here. Just know where I'm going, make noises in the right places and you're fine. Grab a couple grenades here, we're going to use them to do some pretty cool things actually. rather than carrying on, we're just going to take this barrel with us. And hopefully not mess up this trick, because it's pretty cool. Just want to place the barrel semi-specifically, throw a grenade beneath it, and then while the grenade is exploding, I just jump and I get launched into the air and I end up at the top. It's pretty nice. But now we have to wait for Malik to arrive, so what I'm going to do is I'm backtracking a little bit to grab a few mines. These are going to be useful in just a little bit, actually. The barrel boost actually doesn't save as much time as you might imagine it does, because it's the kind of trick it is. It actually only saves about 10 seconds over not doing it, but it also looks really cool, so... And it's pretty straightforward, it's pretty easy. The timing is very, very generous on that one. I'll be doing something later on where the timing is much more precise. Right, for safety, I'm going to kill this guy now. In a normal run, I wouldn't kill him until later, but if I kill him now, I know I'm going to be 100% safe, and seeing as this is a marathon, I'm okay losing a second doing that.
Cache-toi vite, maintenant. Ils sont ici. Les mercenaires qui ont tué PenAgain et son équipe. Merde. J'y vais.
So all I'm doing here is I'm throwing a box over the ceiling, and this ceiling only has one-way collision, so the box actually just falls straight through. And I can take this with me, and now I'm planning on completing the level in reverse. This is the door we're supposed to leave from, and it's actually locked from this side, but obviously if I have a box, I can kind of just ignore that. That was horribly timed. Alright, I need to run to the bottom of the stairs to activate the door, and then take the box with me, because now I'm going to do another really cool trick, hopefully. And that, well, hopefully not mess it up anyway. I need to click myself into this door, but it's actually an elevator shaft, as you as you can probably tell. And just before I land, that was way too early to get the skip. I want to skill up Icarus landing system to avoid fall damage. If I've done that correctly, I would have skilled up much later, and you don't get the animation, but you still take no fall damage. Grab a few things, throw 3 mines in the center of the room without any floor textures loaded. That spawns the boss, and now the boss is dead. Unfortunately, we do have to take the elevator back up.
Ils t'ont vu?
Non, j'étais tout feu éteint au cas où ça chaufferait. Tu vas bien?
Ça va. Passe-moi sa riff.
D'abord, je t'évacue d'ici. Va à la Zeda, je te récupère là-bas.
Alright. And this is why this is going to be why I killed the guy earlier. We actually want some of the things that he's holding. But talking to people, we could just buy them off him without killing him, but talking to people actually pauses in-game time. So, for example, if we'd have spoken to him while waiting for the elevator to arrive, the elevator would actually not be moving during that conversation. So instead we kill him and just take his grenades off him.
Jensen, j'ai besoin de vous parler. Rejoignez-moi tout de suite dans votre bureau.
J'aimerais bien, Francis.
And again, in between missions, spending some time in Sarif Industries, or Sarif Headquarters rather. It's actually very important which order I do these in. If I go to see Pritchard first, I'm going to have an incredibly long conversation with Sarif afterwards. So it's very important that I go speak to Sarif first and then to Pritchard. Yeah, explosives in this game are pretty broken against bosses. Even on the hardest difficulty, I would only have to have used 2 more explosives. So we used to play on the hardest, and all that took was we used to do 2 mines and 3 grenades. So, yeah, explosives kind of destroy the bosses.
Je vois. Je ne connaissais pas ce côté lèche-cul chez vous.
Je suis pas lèche-cul, Francis. C'est juste que j'adore vous faire râler.
10 minutes, Jensen. Dépêchez-vous.
So it gives us 10 minutes to get to him, and here we are. He was pretty generous with that. Not sure where else we'd really go in this time either. I guess we could go back out to Detroit, couldn't we? Alright, and now we're off to Hengsha. Hengsha is one that it's really simple in the speedrun, but if you know how you get through Hengsha casually, it's really cool actually. I really like this even though it's really simple. Just because I have played it casually. It's about, we do one thing that saves about 5 minutes in the glitchless run. Compared to the glitchless run, rather. Also enjoy the sound of that guy getting stunned, it's kind of weird. But yeah, we're just gonna take this box with us and just ignore this mission, really. We're supposed to do all this stuff about going to see Van Bruggen, getting a TYM card, but we don't need to do any of that. We just need a box. We take it to this corner, and we walk through a wall with it, and the train actually still spawns. So now we're going to TYM. So yeah, if you've played casually, even though that's just a very simple clip, if you played casually, I really like that. Because it just skips so much and it's so simple. It's just really straightforward, through one wall, and the train still spawns.
Il faut que je puisse avoir accès à un terminal de sécurité dans la tour de la ville haute.
Pour réaliser qu'il y a un gros obstacle entre vous et...
Alright, going through this door. If I just interact with the door first, I have to talk to the guy, and he's asking me like why I'm there. I have to either bluff or bribe him or threaten him, something like that. But if I should just shoot the door and make him hostile, I can open the door without any of that happening. I'm going to play a little safe and jump over these lasers. You don't need to, but if you hit the lasers, you trigger a robot to spawn that can do quite a lot of damage to you. And the guy behind me now is also already hostile if I do that. This is going really smoothly so far, actually. I'm
Richard, je
a
suis
little
dans un
surprised.
ascenseur qui mène au Pango. Est-ce que je vais tomber sur d'autres systèmes de sécurité?
Rien de trop embêtant, je crois. Le Pangou sert surtout pour l'entretien et le stockage. Cherchez un autre ascenseur quand vous y serez. Il vous amènera directement à la tour.
The game is in French because it is faster. That question, you wouldn't well, you probably would believe how often that question gets asked. While I'm climbing this ladder, I'm actually going to use some painkillers, so you're going to notice my health is now at 125. That's important for a trick coming up very soon. We're just going to take this fire extinguisher with us on this elevator, and use it to do something really cool.
Jensen, qu'est-ce que vous cherchez exactement?
Un enregistrement de sécurité. Van Bruggen dit qu'il l'a copié sur un serveur quelque part.
Ça doit être dans le centre de données, une salle de très haute sécurité. C'est quelques niveaux au-dessus du palier où votre ascenseur s'arrête. Mais les premiers couloirs que vous traverserez sont publics, alors...
Yeah, about 13 seconds with current strats faster. Not a huge amount, but obviously substantial enough. Alright, we actually need the elevator door to be closed, so we just close it from the inside and it doesn't go down, because we want it to be here. And now we're going to use a glitch there. By sweeping the camera really fast as I pick up the fire extinguisher, I can pull it through a wall. And now I'm going to skill up Typhoon and use that to do a clip. If you watched The Fall, you saw a lot of these clips. Typhoon actually sets your character model backwards and upwards slightly, so I've ended up on top of the elevator, and you can see my fire extinguisher is here. I'm just going to bring that up with me. Set it up in a not very specific, but kind of important way. And oh, I'm really upset that didn't make it. I got a really good boost, but not quite enough. Basically, yeah, I placed the mine on that side of the fire extinguisher, walk on top of it to trigger the mine, and then jump as it explodes, and I get this ridiculous boost. And I fly all the way up to this area. It saves a pretty nice amount of time, and it's really, really cool. You're just using the physics of the fire extinguisher to just launch yourself. I'm sad that I didn't get that first try though. That was really, really close. I got a nice boost, but not quite enough. And now we have one of the 2 longest elevators in the game, so there's quite a bit of waiting around here. all you want to make sure that you've done in this elevator is equipped your revolver again and equipped your concussion grenade that we grabbed right at the start of the run in Seraph. Both of those are important. But otherwise, yeah, it's just waiting. You can appreciate the artwork. Alright, I'm going to trigger this cutscene here, and then a bunch of enemies spawn. And I want to make them hostile, so that's why I have my revolver out. I shoot as soon as they run out. And that draws them all into this room, and then the concussion grenade stuns all of them so I can run past. If I don't do that shot, about two to four of them probably won't get hit by it, and then they'll kill me as I'm running past. So that's why those are important. And now we're going to abuse the fact that these guys right here are electrical, so EMP just kind of destroys them. You can't continue until you destroy these two bots, but by throwing the two EMPs like that, they both just die instantly, and we can grab another one from that drawer that we'll be using pretty much at the end of the run. And now that we've triggered Malik to spawn, I'm just going to be running. I just need to run around this area a little bit to pick up some items. So grab some more energy for when I eventually have Cloak, and I'm also going to grab a grenade and some Typhoon.
On ne va pas à Détroit. Direction Montréal. Je t'expliquerai en chemin.
Boxes appear in cutscenes. Don't know why. If I was standing there, I wouldn't be there, but you can throw the box in there. This mission is horribly broken. Immediately, I'm just going to try and jump on a very small ledge here, and then jump on top of the actual box itself, drop down, and now I'm on the other side of this barrier. You can't actually jump over it normally, but what we can use this to do is line myself up roughly with the door on the other side, and jump over the fence. And now, we're at the funicular. Saves a hell of a lot of time doing that. But calling the funicular also takes an incredible amount of time, and we don't want to do that. So instead, we do the most annoying clip in the run. Anyone will agree. Well, actually, I don't know. I'm kind of torn personally, but pretty much anyone else would say this. Clip myself into the door, and that door too was ridiculously good. The reason that's one of the most annoying clips is because it's basically just inconsistent. You can be better at it, but if it doesn't want to give you a nice clip, it just won't. There's really nothing you can do about the second door, and that was really nice. And now we have the longest elevator in the run, so we're gonna be here for a while.
Où vous voulez en venir?
J'ai le sentiment d'être conduit vers certaines zones de leur réseau et tenu à l'écart d'autres. Seulement, il n'existe aucun système de sécurité capable d'improviser ça.
Vous y réfléchirez plus tard, Pritchard. Si je veux mettre la main sur Miss Kassan, il va me falloir des coordonnées plus précises que dans le repère secret.
Le nuage d'holo-imagerie que vous avez rencontré dans la salle 404 a correspondu à un pic de consommation électrique. Celui-ci était situé dans une des plus grandes
We have
salles
to
du
reach
sous-sol.
floor 33, so you can see that we are actually
C'est de là qu'elle émet.
we have a decent amount of time to wait. Although, it's actually really only 32, because for some reason, and I don't know why, and no one's been able to tell me why, and no one else seems to even notice, but I noticed it like in one of my first runs of the game, there is no floor 27. And I have not, I've looked it up, and I think there was someone mentioning it with a couple of ideas, but no one seems to have any solid idea as to why floor 27 was just missed out. You can see it goes from 26 straight to 28. No idea. And I jumped into the, oh, that's actually, I'm probably gonna die here. If I do, it's not the end of the world. If I don't, they're idiots. Okay, well, it's fine. I jumped into the lasers by accident, so I triggered them much earlier than they should have been triggered. But they apparently can't shoot, so we're fine. Now we have another boss. This boss is killed with a really cool strategy. One grenade at the floor, 2 grenades at the ceiling, and she dies. The reason I throw them at the ceiling is because grenades' explosions actually knock away other grenades. So if I just threw them all at her feet, the second explosion, the first explosion would knock away the second grenade, and, you know, the second explosion would knock away the third grenade. But because I throw them at the ceiling, they explode as they're falling down, and they don't affect each other at all. Yeah, it saves about 2 seconds, or 2 to 3 seconds on doing it normally, but I think it looks really cool as well, so I quite like it.
Jensen? Elisa Kassan vient de me contacter et m'a dit de te retrouver ici. T'es prêt à partir?
Ouais, à la maison, Malik.
Ah, c'est pas trop tôt.
And now we have Detroit for the second time, but fortunately this time it's much more broken than the first, so we get to do some cool things here. Just gonna grab this fire extinguisher, and rather than taking 2 elevators down to the bottom of Jensen's apartment, we're just gonna clip through this wall. Wow, that's only ever happened 1 time before. I was trying to pull the fire extinguisher out of bounds with me, but instead, what can happen is that when you're trying to do that, you pull yourself in bounds, but then the fire extinguisher is usually with you. Instead, what happened there is I pulled myself in bounds, and the fire extinguisher stayed out of bounds, and then I have to reload the save. At this point, it would have been much faster for me to not even try the extra strat, but I'm stubborn, so I'm going to carry on going for it, particularly because the run is going well enough anyway. I'm not sure why this is happening much more than usual. There we go. The reason I wanted to do that is so I could drop the fire extinguisher off and ride it down to the floor. This saves having to wait for the Icarus fall and also the Icarus animation at the bottom. At that point, obviously, it would have been much faster to just take the fall and animation. But that looks cool, so why not do it? It saves about 5 seconds or something. Because the animation for the landing with the Typhoon is... no, not Typhoon. Did I say Typhoon at another point? I don't know. I meant Icarus anyway. The animation of the landing is pretty slow. And now we're just going to take this box with us on a little bit of a journey to skip the rest of the level. Gonna make a quick save there. I don't normally, but you can hit the police officers with this box, and then they'll kill you. If you hit their car, they don't care. The alarm goes off and they get suspicious, but they don't actually care about you. If you hit them, they will murder you. Just clip into the wall, walk around the barrier there, and now we can do something kind of weird. It's slightly odd to, that this works, but these doors are actually still active. These doors shouldn't ever be used during your time in Detroit for the, Detroit 2, but for some reason they're actually still active, so I can just use them, and it teleports me to the helipad, because I was supposed to fly here from my apartment after doing a whole lot of stuff. So for some reason it works, and we can just go straight in. This one's a really brief stay. We just have to go up here, skip a cutscene, and then go back down. I'm pretty sure this is the final time we're in Seraph HQ. I'm gonna do something slightly weird here. Well, I'm leveling up Cloak, that's not weird, but what I'm also gonna do is change the difficulty to medium. I'm doing that for a specific strat that's coming up just in a second. We have to wait for Malik to die, spoilers, and it turns out she dies faster on higher difficulties, and she dies pretty much exactly as fast as we need her to on medium, so we don't need to go up to hard, but easy, if you get unlucky, because how quickly she dies is kind of random as well. If you get unlucky on easy, you can lose like 12 seconds, whereas on medium, she tends to die pretty much exactly as quickly as we need her to.
Malik, on a de la compagnie.
Je sais, mais l'avion est salement touché. Il va falloir le réparer avant de repartir.
Assuming I don't mess up the strat, but it's pretty straightforward. So what I do is I press the elevator button, and while I do it, I crouch and jump on top of the elevator door. This skips a cutscene trigger. The cutscene would normally show Malik dying, and that itself isn't bad because it's only during the elevator and you don't lose any time for it being in the elevator, but then you have a conversation with Pritchard afterward about how she died, and you can't leave during that conversation, and that one's pretty slow. Whereas if I jump into the door here and stand up here, I now have a conversation with Pritchard, if you were paying attention to the text in top right, about how Malik got away,
Malik, ça va?
and now Malik dies. So we basically get a short conversation with Pritchard, and Malik dies, which is important for later in the run where we need her to be dead. Need her to be dead. So it's pretty nice doing it like that.
Mondial de la santé recommande à tous les gens augmentés d'aller passer un examen de contrôle dans les cliniques en plib. Il y aurait un problème avec les biopuces.
Un rapport avec les bugs que j'ai eus.
Nous les avons tous eus, mais je n'ai pas pu en déterminer la cause.
The guy around this corner that we really don't want to speak to. Speaking to people is pretty gross and pretty slow, so we actually just go into cloak there and avoid having a conversation with him. Now the rest of this mission is pretty straightforward. We kind of just do what we're supposed to do again.
Monsieur Jensen, ici Hugh Darrow. Veuillez excuser cette intrusion, mais David...
That is all we see of Hugh Darrow in the entirety of this run. After 7 rungs I can drop off. I have to climb down 7 because if I dropped off earlier I'd get the Icarus fall. But then you don't need to go any further than that. That's far enough to not trigger the Icarus. This is actually one of the really annoying areas in the game to sprint through, or sprint jump through rather. There's so much on the ceiling that you can knock your head on, and each time you'll lose speed. It's actually really awkward to get used to that. Now we're going to grab that laser rifle. That's important for something, well, that's important for pretty much the last thing in the run. You'll see that when we get there. And now we're going to make use of the stims that we brought with us from much earlier. We only used 1 in the police station, and we've picked up a total of 4, sorry. So now I use 2, and my health's at 200, which is the max, and I'm going to use that to take a quick route over a fence. Doesn't save much time, but obviously, time save is time save. So this house here is electrified, and if you take the stims, you can just survive the jump over it, as long as you don't mess up. But then if you mess up as well, I have the spare stim, so... And from the point at which I grab that bomb, this mission is now just on a timer. Obviously, I have to be not too slow for Tong to like finish his lines, but yeah, we have to wait for his conversation to end anyway. So now we just wait. So that's roughly how much time you have to kill after you touch the bomb, or grab the bomb. There's actually a new clip here that I'm going to do. Saves a very small amount of time, but I feel like doing it because the run has been going pretty well. Just grab the box there and clip yourself through. And that saves about 4 or 5 seconds. It's a really small time save, and if you mess it up twice, you lose time, but even if you mess it up once, then you're probably going to break even. It's a nice little clip. Just want to take this box with us to do another really cool strat. You'll never guess what we're going to use this for. Actually, this time it's slightly different. We're going to clip into the wall again and run off. And the reason I run off like that is because I need those carved boxes you saw on the left to spawn in. If they don't spawn in, it means I haven't hit the loading trigger, and the door at the end of this area, I'm not going to be able to reach it. But now I'm out of bounds in the boss room where we would normally fight Namir. And you just kind of have to learn where you're running because everything is invisible. But it's really straightforward, it's just 2 hallways. And we can run to the door at the end of the Namir boss fight, so we don't even get to see him. Even if we did get to see him, the method of killing him is pretty silly, because when he's vaulting over a wall, for some reason, Heinke's mentioned before, it's something to do with the way they've coded the AI or something like that. His AI is treated as being a normal enemy, and so you can just use a takedown on him. Normally if you use a takedown on a boss, they're going to kill you, but on Namir, while he's vaulting, you can just do that, and it's pretty silly. And now we're on another timer. We're waiting for this this whole deal to end, and then we can leave.
Adam, je vais évacuer mon équipe. Il faut que tu ailles à Panchaya et que tu arrêtes Yogi.
On reparlera de ça, toi et moi, Megan.
Les apparences sont contre moi. Mais arrête d'abord le signal. Je pense que les biopuces saturent le nerf pneumogastrique, ce qui doit créer d'horribles hallucinations.
Tu veux dire que ça va rendre fou les gens augmentés?
Oui, et il n'y a que toi pour l'arrêter. La navette Léo te conduira à Panchaya.
What a shot.
Bonne chance, Adam.
Système automatisé en ligne.
Don't need to care about pissing them off though, because I can just stand up here and they can't do anything to me.
Paré pour décollage. Trajectoire sous-orbitale calculée. Destination Panchaya. Début du compte à rebours, Monsieur Darrow.
Affirmatif.
Code 000. Confirmé 0. Début du compte à rebours.
And now we're in the final area of the game, Panchea. Yep, so he's correct. In Director's Cut, that was fixed, so you can't do it
Je
there.
suis à Panchaya, Pritchard.
But obviously I'm just playing the original version of the game.
Non, aucune. La station est coupée
No,
du monde depuis le
no
discours
missing
de
link or
Darrow.
anything like that.
J'ignore s'il y a des survivants. Mais le signal est toujours émis.
Et personne ne sera en sécurité tant que je ne l'aurai pas coupé.
And now we're heading to what is probably my least favorite clip in the run, because I have had a
Terminal de commande en haut de la tour.
colourful history with this clip. We call it a mega clip, after someone who in a race lost about 20 minutes, I think, trying to do this clip, which it does not save. It saves a lot of time, but it doesn't save 20 minutes. But yeah, I have a history with this clip. A lot of that was solved when we started capping the FPS, because this is the one I was mentioning earlier. The FPS affects it pretty heavily,
Vous ne pourrez pas descendre sans les débloquer manuellement.
but capped at 80, we shouldn't have any problems, assuming I can actually get into the door to begin with. Right, we're in, should be far enough in, and now we just try and do a Typhoon, and that should put us through. There we go, we're through. If you don't, you can actually clip around the door, but the problem is if you don't go through the door, you don't load the next area. This game has really annoying loading triggers. I assume largely because of the fact that it was for console reasons, but it has loading triggers in a lot of doors throughout the game, and that's why we need to clip through certain doors. Namely, funicular door, we have to clip through that as well. Pretty sure anyway. There is some testing, or there was some testing going on into potentially being able to skip that, but I am not hopeful. But that door, for sure, we need to go through, otherwise we don't load this area. You can get all the way up to here, and then this part just doesn't exist. You cannot continue. And yeah, fuck that clip. That clip can die for all I care. Where did my box go? That's interesting. My box kind of just disappeared through me. I have a habit of killing marathon runs at Star Wars Bridge. Oh, that's what that's called, by the way. When this game's load remover was being made, the memory address for that bridge is actually Star Wars Bridge. That wasn't something we came up with. It just is called that. Now we have the final clip. I want to clip into the wall again. This isn't going super well, I'll be honest. Yeah, my timing is pretty horrible, apparently. There we go, clip into it, throw an EMP, draw the laser rifle, and now we wait for a little bit. Now we're just going to fall down and skip the entire elevator to the bottom. The reason we EMP is because otherwise we'd have Icarus landing the entire way, and you would also miss the hallway, so you couldn't do it. But if we EMP and fall down, it re-enables Icarus just before we land. Now we have the final boss. Now the final boss is dead, because this laser goes through the glass. So, pretty trivial. All of the bosses in this speedrun are kind of a joke. Well, individual jokes, I suppose. time is coming up. At the end of this conversation I have to make a dialogue option, and then as soon as the cutscene rolls, that's time.
Afin d'assurer que la prochaine génération puisse prospérer librement. C'est bien ce que vous voulez? Qu'il en soit ainsi.
Time. Alright, thank you for watching Deus Ex Human Revolution any %. That was a pretty good run actually, I'm pretty happy with that. I just want to do a quick, I just want to shout out a few things though. I want to shout out again the Twitch team 0451. Go check that out if you want to look for other Deus Ex runners, for any of the Deus Ex games. Also, if anyone is interested in learning this, I have a pretty comprehensive tutorial on my YouTube account. So I guess kind of self-plug, but it's just, it tries to cover everything in quite a lot of detail. It's in several parts, so it's quite easy to learn from. And I would recommend it. It's a fun game to run. I think that's pretty much it.